This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Hear it here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's lava. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
And welcome back, Haymaker Combat Sports. This is the Canelo Álvarez, Charlo recap show. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow host, Steve Johnson, Chris Sanders. Fellas, how we doing?
Good, man. Come on now. We got some good fights over the weekend.
Steve, how you doing?
Definitely, same here. Got to see those fights and ready to talk about them.
So it is now October, what the kids call it spooky season. We're now in the fall. Any fall traditions y'all fellas got?
I just did decorations for Halloween at my crib real quick, so it's been busy. Got my pumpkin set up, got the outside set up, so I'm ready. Just getting ready for the season, man.
How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I usually did, but it was going to a fear fest, haunted house theme. But
yeah,
waiting for my kids to get older, and I think it's the season for a few of them to experience a little fun like that. So excited for that.
That's what's up. It was always fun as a kid doing the Halloween things and all the festivities. And I'm kind of lacking, man. I don't have nothing put up. I'm a bachelor living by myself, but it's always nice to get into the swing of things, get into the spirit of the season. So, y'all might put me on some ideas. But yeah, let's get into it, fellas. So before we get into the fight this past weekend, I just wanted to talk about some news inside or outside of the ring. And my new story I found is that they interviewed our guy Andy Ruiz not too long ago. Okay. And they asked the guy, when is he going to fight again? And his response was, everybody's asking, when am I fighting? And when am I going to fight? Why don't I want to fight Wilder? He said, nobody wants to fight. He said, I'm staying ready, baby. He said, tell Joshua, let's do the trilogy. Tell Wilder, I'm ready. Make another contract. Tell Usyk, tell Fury. Everybody wants to go through these shortcuts, but I'm here, baby. We're working. So I just want to get y'all fellas' thoughts. Not just the heavyweight division, but in boxing in general. Do y'all think it's a problem with fighters not actually wanting to fight and making fights when the iron is hot and striking while the iron is hot?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that's always been the case for the last, 15 years. You have great fighters. Even this fight right here that we're about to discuss with Canelo, they should have been fought. There's too much politics into boxing. There's too many belts, too much politics. And, when there's five to six different type of belts out there, there's no point to, fight Andy, because Andy's actually a tough fight. He's small, he's crafty, he could take a punch, and he's fast for a heavyweight, So you might be stronger and bigger than him, but he's kind of quick. He don't look it because he's a heavyweight, because you look at him, he's pudgy and stuff like that. But to compare to other heavyweights, he's very quick. He's probably one of the fastest there with his hand speed, and he's more agile than he's very agile for his weight. So he's a long night, You have to be very prepared for him. So it's not like anybody really signed up for that fight.
Yeah, I didn't know much about Andy Ruiz before he fought Joshua that first time, and he shocked the world. Got those belts up off him, and like you said, he's deceptively athletic for a guy's size. Like, you see him on the street, you wouldn't think he could put hands on you, but mess
you
with him
did.
if you want to.
You said something key right there. The only reason I got the fight because I think someone else had an issue with Joshua where I think they failed the drug test, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he only got the fight because of that. So he's always ready. So when he means I'm ready, he's always been ready because he's been that guy just in the gym, waiting his turn, and when the day comes, he's gonna step up to it. So for him to say that comment is really what he's done, like in his career. Like he's just been ready. Just that no one wants to make that phone call.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think?
Definitely agree. Very deceptive. And in a heavyweight class, all you need is, I mean, that's a class where anybody can get touched on the jaw. And it doesn't have to really matter about size. It's, your weight's there. I saw Andy Ruiz's highlights, and I saw Cuban, who Deontay Wilder also knocked out. What's his name?
I know it's about the older gentleman that's a Cuban fighter, right?
Yeah.
King Kong?
King Kong?
Yeah, King Kong. Yeah. And like I said, I think a lot of these bigger fighters, which Ruiz is smaller than a lot of them, I think he knows his perk and he uses it well and catches people off guard with those quick combinations and you don't see coming.
Yeah. So Chris touched on it a little bit earlier. It's too many belts in all these divisions. And I'm a guy that's all about solutions. So what do y'all think that boxing has to do to get these guys to start fighting each other sooner?
But again, there's just too much politics. There's too many different camps, right? As unlike the UFC, there's only one branch, right? There's only one umbrella. With boxing, there's this, there's that, there's Mayweather Production, there's Golden Boy, there's Top Rank. So you don't want your top fighter, your money bag, to actually lose to another, to a different company. So there's just too much going on. So it's really at this point it's too hard. So basically, what we're getting is one camp doing really well. Like we're getting Top Rank. They only want to keep their fighters fighting either under or all their fighters so they can keep the money in house. It's just hard to spread the money around. Even though boxing has the money, it's just that you don't want to take your prize fighter and lose that, because once you lose your prize fighter, then what do you have else to go off of? So it's really hard to have a solution for it right now at this point.
Steve?
Yeah, I would say make contracts to force in a parameter to fighters fight more often, but then again, like you said, will it create a new paradigm in boxing to where can the excitement keep up with stars? Can they be built long enough? And maybe we might have to perceptionalize differently about boxing on what we would consider a boxing star, as far as is it okay for them to lose once? Like the UFC, are we gonna have to change our mindset on that? Or can these boxers even make it while opening the Pandora's box, so to speak? Can these fighters make it to these long streaks to be undefeated, or will we even see that anymore once we get these fighters to fight often? So like you said, maybe they're saving their fighters.
Again, it's not the fighters. I think the fighters want to fight. If there's up to the fighters, I would say at least 80% of them would fight each other. That's not the problem. It's more the politics, their companies, the promoters are like, no, we don't want to put you in that risk. Like they control most of, once you sign a contract, they kind of control what you're doing. So, but the fighters, they want to fight. Like Crawford probably wanted to fight Bud for the longest, but Spence for the longest, but he just, the way the politics is, they had to wait his turn. So just like the Mayweather versus Pacquiao, I'm sure Mayweather would have fought him a long time ago, but the politics between it just took over years to get that fight happening.
Yeah, so like Chris was just talking about, you got Top Rank, you got Golden Boy, you got what's Mayweather's company's name? I'm whiffing on it, but you got them as well. They got the Premier Boxing, PBC. You got all of them. So it's a lot of hands in the pots. But I'll ask you this, Chris. When do you think was the turning point where these promotions started trying to protect their fighters' records more so than trying to make exciting fights? I think I got an idea in my head, but what do you think?
Oof. I say Mayweather really had a big impact on that.
Same answer I was
But
gonna say.
I'm not mad at coming from Mayweather's standpoint. He came from Top Rank. He felt business was done dirty over there. So when he took his own fight in his own hand, well, we got Mayweather fighting twice a year, if that, and it became more of a spectatorship. Like we're not seeing him as much. So when we do see him, we got to see him. So he took that illusion of, he made a smart business move where we don't see him as often, and if we do see him, he is fighting some of the top fighters, but we see him less. And that's kind of not how boxing is, right? You see boxing. You want to see probably fighters fight maybe 4 to 5 times a year. To seeing them fight once or twice a year is very taboo, but it brings more of a allure to it because we don't get to see them as much. It's like the carnival; they don't come as often, so we're all excited when the carnival comes in town.
Steve,
I respect Mayweather because I believe he put in work to get to that point. He put in work to get to that point, and I think after that, just like a lot of things in careers, people see the blueprint, but necessarily didn't have the skill. Because I give it to Mayweather; he was amazing. Pretty boy Floyd before he turned to Money Mayweather, and I feel like people homogenized it. They tried to copy it, and then it became is this fighter really the next Mayweather? And it turns out they, like Adrian Broner, couldn't do it, and that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because you can't hold out and then end up making a huge money fight down the line, but you could also fumble the bag like a guy we're about to talk about, or we just talked about him a little bit ago, Anthony Joshua, where he waited long and got knocked out by Ruiz and kind of fumbled that bag with Wilder and the Fury. So I don't know, man. I'd like to see him fight a little bit sooner than later, but like Chris said, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
so many hands in the pot.
So many hands in the pot for him to come over here and get that bag. But I still think Joshua is still one of the biggest fights with Wilder and with the other guy as well. I think those are just big names. I think that's what boxing got to get to, just being a big name, because the fan base is there, right? We want to see all those guys fight. The fans really don't care if they're undefeated. That's just barbershop talk. We just want to see the fights. Canelo lost, and we still watching his fights. It doesn't matter. I don't even know how many times, maybe 3 times his tops, but we still watch his fights. We want to see a good performance, and that's why I think we want to see these guys put it all on the line, fight, to see it all out.
So one more question before we move on. You think the younger generation might kind of shifted a little bit? Because a few months ago we saw Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, 2 of the biggest younger stars in the sport. They're fighting. I don't even think at least Garcia, he hasn't hit his prime yet. Tank is getting into his prime. They fought. So you think that might have been a blip or a trend? You think it's trending that way where these younger fighters started to fight each other early? Because Garcia's probably got one of the biggest followings in the sport as far as young fighters, as far as social media and stuff. Like, he's huge on social media.
I'm not really too familiar, but from my understanding, that's more on Garcia, not from Gloater Boy. Gloater Boy, I don't think wanted that fight to happen. I think Garcia wanted that fight to happen. So that, again, that's more on the, taking control more on your career than the promotion. I don't think promotion-wise, they didn't want that fight. But, Garcia wanted to fight. He's been challenging all the top guys in that weight class. So sometimes you got to bark up the tree to get those fights because, he wasn't getting no good fights, honestly. If he didn't call out Tank or to call out all the other good guys in that division, who has Garcia actually fought that we can name? Not in a bad way, but it's not his fault. I'm sure he wants to fight those fighters, so that's why he had to do what he had to do.
So this is a question for both of y'all. Y'all think that loss hurt Garcia, or you think it didn't affect him because he's so young?
I don't think it affects him. He's a fighter. He's gonna bounce right back, take an L, move on. If he fought again with somebody else, we're gonna watch it. So I think that's the mentality they got to get into, is this fight. Just if they have their body, if there's money on the table, make those fights, man. That's what it's about.
Steve.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially this year, fights been down the line as far as boxing more than I've seen as a boxing fan or noticed. Maybe because it's bigger names. Um, like I said, I think there's boxing fights all down until December. So I didn't think to me, I've noticed that from last year or any other years. I don't know. I feel like something got the ball rolling somewhere in the boxing industry to get the ball on the roll on, because maybe numbers aren't as big as they were. I wouldn't know. That'd be a question I like to ask you, Chris. Is there any fluctuation in pay, or is same, or people getting paid more than ever?
It's probably dropped a little bit, but I think when you're watching the Jake Paul fights, and you see how much money they're generating, and these are just YouTubers versus ex MMA fighters, or just celebrity boxing, pretty much what it is. It just gives the edge to like the boxing community, like, hey, they're promoting the sport, so we got to get our names out there because it's hot right now. Even if you're seeing your favorite celebrities fight, it's just a talk in the barbershop, but that helps the boxing community because that's more fights that way. So, just an edge for people to see. You know what? We want to see the Bud versus Spence. We want to see Canelo versus Charlo. We want to see these big fights now. Because we get to see, Nate versus Jake and all this other stuff. So it opens up the door. I think that helped a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. We're gonna keep our eyes out on that in the future, see how those fights shake out, to see if these fighters start fighting each other. But I'm gonna go with Chris. I don't know if it happens like that in the future. But before we get into these quick hits, any stories come across your radar since the last time we talked? Or?
No, not yet. No.
Well,
I really
nothing much. Just I see, which we'll talk about later. Tyson either teasing, like taking a fight in between Ngannou, I guess, not taking it seriously.
It's a little bit of teaser. We're gonna get into that towards the end of the show. It's the fight that he just signed. So let's get into these quick hits before we talk about the Canelo fight. So a few fights happened since the last time we did a boxing episode, and what I wanted to touch on first was Anthony Joshua defeating Robert Helenius by 7th round KO. And story of this fight, Joshua looked like he was kind of measuring the guy up and kind of being cautious in the fight and being more calculated and measured, and he was working that jab and looked like he was taking his time a little bit. What were your thoughts on this fight?
For me, I was watching the fight and I just saw Joshua appear to have legs. Felt more comfortable in the ring. He had more control of the ring as I'm watching it. And I'm just seeing him move his movement with his legs. He was really following up, moving, getting out the way. He wasn't in a straight line. He was dodging a lot, but he was more aggressive too. I've noticed that with him in this fight, where he was centered up for, I think the overhand right was the hand that knocked out the gentleman in the 7th. And he was just centered up. And just the way watching throughout the fight, I was just saying, oh man, Joshua got some good legs on this one. Because usually he tires out on fights. You can see him die out. But in this one, I could see that he worked on his condition. He had his legs in the ring, and he was just lining it up. He didn't really see him at harm's way too much. So he did a good job.
Steve?
Yeah, the significance I saw in that fight, I was seeing he was doing a definitely working off the jab, and I saw he stepped in the jab and maybe went low with the jab, and he, like you said, he was looking for that straight or overhand right on top, and I saw he was trying to line it up multiple times during that fight, and he ended up landing it. So like you said, he was a little more aggressive, and I think more than ever in his career, I think he may be trying to protect his chin, to me, because to me, I think he's been substitutable from last fights.
So there's a lot of people chirping after fight saying how it looked like he was just in there trying to get some rounds in early on rather than get this guy out of here really quickly. So y'all think it's a good look him getting rounds in, or y'all think it would have been a bad look if he would have got him out of there quick?
I mean, he can't win in that situation, right? But he did what he's supposed to do. What he did, it didn't go to full distance. He controlled most of the fight. He might have lost one round or two, if that, when I was watching it. And for someone from his camp, would be very proud of him. Again, he had his legs. He was more aggressive. This is what you want to see from your fighter. And I think he had a good game plan. He stuck to it. He didn't get frustrated in there, and he delivered a knockout. What more do you want? I mean, there's nothing else. I think he answered all the questions he wanted to do.
Steve?
A question I would like to ask: do boxers they probably watch film and see that they may have to pull all their tricks out the bag, but is there some fights to where they're like, all right, I can work on this certain move or certain combination because they see in the film they can. It's not like overlooking your opponent, but is there certain fights to where you can let me work on my left hook or fade left hook or something like that?
Well, I don't know. By that time of the fight, you're not working on it, but you're trying to take away like what it's just like playing football. It's defense versus offense. You're trying to take away their best. Like if you find a lefty, you're not trying to go all be in his lane. So you're not trying to go right. You're going to keep going left, right? So you just want to take away what they're good at. I think what Joshua was trying to be is like, I could probably be more busier than this guy and probably land the overhand right when he gets him in dangerous territory. So in my mind, I think Joshua was looking to take him to the 8th or 9th round to knock him out. I think he was like, I could probably take him that way. I got to work on my condition. If I can make it past there, I'll be more conditioned than he is, and I'll be outworked him by that time, or I'll get him tired, and then I'll be able to land up a good shot. So let me just keep practicing, showing him it, but try and land it low, and then at the end, land it up high, and then I'll be able to take him out. So there's like different strategies like that, because it's nice to say you're going to go in there and knock them out first round, second round, but these guys are all, they trained it just as much as they know the guy. He knows he's fighting Joshua. So the guy's not no chump. He's not just taking the check. He's going to protect himself. He has a family and things at home as well. So he's doing his best to be in shape too. So these are not cakewalk fights. When we do get those early knockouts, it's like, oh, that's amazing, right? But these guys they're in good condition as well. So they know to fight Joshua. Joshua is not a big name person, so not easy.
So Joshua definitely needed this win. So where do y'all think he goes next with his next fight?
Oh man, there's so many possibilities. Again, he can do the trilogy. I don't know where the money's at. Again, like, boxing's all about the politics, money. There's no point for him to come to the U.S. I think there's so much money for him over there, overseas, where he's at in London.
More than Vegas?
He didn't do so well on the soil, right? Didn't he lose out here?
I think he only fought once out here.
Yeah, so I mean, his fan base is over there. Yeah, we do know him in America. Yeah, it would be nice, but you can fight at home. You can control the ring. You can control everything that's going on. Unless he's getting Wilder or Fury or one of those big names, I don't think he's gonna leave. Like even if he fought Andy got to go over there. Like he's just not. It doesn't make sense to come over here. It doesn't make sense.
Steve, where you think he goes next?
That's what I was about to say. If he does come over here, it has to be a big name since you say he didn't do good. Like you said, he has the Andy Ruiz fight. Like we said, Deontay and Usyk. I mean, he's fighting.
You don't want that smoke again. Every 3 times in a row.
Yeah. So I think those are his only options. And that's depending on what with Deontay does or what he has lined up. So we'll have to see.
Man, I think Chris is right. If Ruiz fights him again, they got to do it over there. They'll probably do the O2. But even if he gets Fury, which I don't think that match will happen anytime soon, they probably do that at Wembley. They definitely probably do that at Wembley over there in the UK. I think the only fight that would happen over here would be the Wilder fight, and that's the fight I want to see next.
Yeah, that would be tough. That'd be tough.
Either
I
they
don't
do
know.
that, or they might do like Saudi Arabia. It'd be either Vegas or Saudi Arabia, because
Yeah.
Saudi drop that bag.
For sure. That'll be a good fight. I mean, that's a fight that we want to see, right? That's the one I want to see next. And then him give Fury or something after. But we want to see the Wilder versus him. And when it takes Fury, that's what we want.
It's now or never. If you don't do it now, then when do you do it?
Mhm.
That's a bad mentality about boxing that we've been talking about. They don't have the mentality because he can make another 2 million by fighting, I don't know, another fighter that we don't really know, because he can still sell out arena in London, you know what I'm saying, just on his name popularity. So it's more appealing to just stay home, make a 2 million here, 3 million here, and come over here and put your career on jeopardy fighting Wilder.
Yeah. Well, that's the fight that everybody wants to see. So I'm just hoping he doesn't fight somebody low on the totem pole and we get a big name, even if it's Ruiz. Let's just see something exciting. I mean, but Joshua, he's like 33. It's time to go. There's no going backwards at this point.
Yeah.
We'll keep our eye on what he does next. But before we get into Canelo, I just wanted to hit on this fight as well. You had the unified heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk defeating Daniel Dubois back on August 26th, 9th round KO. And Dubois, he's a young kid, so he's got a lot of career left. So nobody expected him to win, and Usyk got him out of there like we expected. But the controversy behind this one is in the 5th round.
Low blow.
Yep, he got him like right on the belt line. So y'all think it was fair or foul? He dropped Usyk to his knee too. Y'all thought it was fair or foul?
I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't know the back blood of it. I really don't know. When I saw it live, it's like, I could see. I don't know.
Steve?
Yeah, it looked like right on the belt line, but like I said, like I say, I don't know either. It was right on the belt line, and I rewinded like 3. I was like, that's one you can't tell.
Man, I'm gonna keep it 100, man. I thought it was fair. I thought it was fair. And Usyk, he keeps his trunk high. I don't know why he does that. Well, I guess I know why he does that. So
That's why.
But I thought it was fair. And Chris, I don't know, like what can you do if you had a fair hit and they go back and see it was fair, but they called it a low blow? Is there any way you could protest that?
As a boxer, you're not thinking of that anyway, right? You're going into the ring, you're trying to get your points. That's like what, minus maybe 2 points. It depends how many often you do. Maybe 1 point. So you're looking at the round already, what it is. At that time, I don't even think he was. That's another fight from the beginning that you saw him not being. He was very busy. The one that fell, what's his name? Anthony. What was the guy that fell again? That got low blow. What's his first name?
Hold up, which one?
The one that fell to the floor.
Usyk.
Yeah, he just like Joshua. That's another fight you can kind of watch. Even Canelo, if you look at all three of the fighters this weekend were smaller than their opponents. So the key to their success in these fights were them being more busier and being more aggressive, right? Because they let their opponents dictate the fight, being that they were smaller and they used the jab and they kept them at bay. It would look like they'll lose a fight. So as a smaller fighter, you have to get aggressive. You have to go to the fight. I didn't see, the low blow was there. He took the time off that he needed to get back. And when he got back into it, he got back to a busy beat. He became more busy. He became right to his chest. So that's what makes it be like, I don't know, because did that low blow kind of slow him down? Because maybe he was too busy for him. He had to hit him low to, keep him off him. Because with pads on or with no pads on, with gloves on, it still hurts down there. If you get hit down there and you feel it, it still hurts. So,
I don't know. I feel some type of way if I was Dubois and I thought it was fair and they got down his knee. They gave him all that time to rest, man. I might try to say something to the commission afterwards, but hindsight is 2020. What they say is, I guess it's nothing he can really do now. But yeah, that's the breaks. But fellas, let's get into what we came to talk about. You had Canelo Álvarez defeating Charlo by unanimous decision. Before we actually talk about the actual fight, how do y'all feel about the hype going into this fight? Because, I think Canelo's still the biggest star in the sport, but I don't know, man. It was some previous Canelo fights where the hype was real. Like, as boxing fans, we were hyped for the fight, but on a mainstream level, y'all feel like this fight got the publicity it deserved going into it?
I think it did. I was very happy that when the Charlo brothers stepped up to take on this fight because again, they kind of really didn't need it either because they have the name. It only goes on a legacy, right? It's smart for me as a Charlo too because just my size. Looking at Canelo, I'm bigger than him, so I don't think he's gonna really knock me out that easy. So, going into it, I can see how he can think, well, I'll be a tough. In which he was. It wouldn't be an easy task for Canelo to knock me out. Now Canelo had to be busy and be Canelo and be special that he was, but as a Charlo, you're thinking like, yeah, I'll take on this fight. Like it's not like I'm not scared of him. Like I'm bigger than him by inches. I'm strong physically. You can look at him, even though we know they're the same weight at the fight. Clearly, Charlo's a lot bigger than Canelo. Like there's no question by looking at him. The only thing that would scare me as if I was Charlo is just knowing that Canelo had also stepped up in ring and fought bigger people than me and took care of them. So that would scare me if I was going into the fight. Like, you know what, this guy's dangerous because even though he don't look like he's tough or he's smaller than what he looks, he's fought bigger people than me and knocked them out. So, but I thought it was hype. I thought it was hype enough. And Canelo can fight me and it'll be hype. That's just what it is right now. He's got that type of name,
Yeah. Steve, what do you think about the hype around this fight?
It definitely was there. Especially what I do, it was definitely on the sonar of the talk of boxing. Definitely delivered for motion wise, but I felt like for who I was going for, Charlo, the deliverance of the fight should have been, could have been more for who I was rooting for. But that's my opinion. And maybe it leaves a narrative of maybe Charlo's brother. I forgot. Is he within weight? Yeah. Maybe that leaves a narrative to outlet for Canelo to fight, revenge of the brother type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
I like that. That's actually a good swing right there. That's a good move. They wasn't pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about this actual fight. I'm gonna go round by round. So round one was kind of a feeling out round. Charlo tried to work that jab, a lot of lateral movement. Canelo landed a thunderous hook to the body with about a minute left. And then round two, Canelo turned up the volume, started ripping off to the body. Round three, a lot of the same. Canelo walked him down and put the pressure on him. Round four, Charlo controlled the early round, but Canelo came back strong and went to the body. Round five is which the judges thought that Charlo won. He tried to fend Canelo off with that jab, but Canelo kept walking him down with that jab and a nasty left hook. Charlo landed a nice combo towards the end of the round, which was enough to apparently steal him that round. Round six, a lot of movement by Charlo, and he was making Canelo miss some. Landed a nice counter shot towards the middle of the round. And with that right hand. Round seven, Canelo dropped Charlo with a counter shot. Got him. Well, in round seven, he dropped Charlo down to the knee with that right hook. That was nasty. Mm-hmm. I thought it might have been over after that. And then Charlo did his best to fight back. I gave him. He showed heart in that round because I thought it was about to be the beginning of the end when he dropped them.
Oh no, yeah, he did show heart.
Yeah, and then round 8 through round 12, the story of the fight was Canelo just putting more pressure on them. So, what were y'all impressions of this fight?
Like you just said, you kind of cleaned it up right there. All the pressure. I think the hooks were a lot for Charlo to keep taking. When you're looking at somebody, you're trying to push him off you, and he's coming with hooks, and he's just not stopping. He just keeps coming. You're like, oh my God, what's going on? You try to move, try to set it up. I don't think Charlo was able to really set it up how he wanted to. He wanted to establish a jab. He's more of plant fighter. I would say like he's very calculated himself as a fighter, but he just wasn't able to set it up how he wanted to. Especially when someone's aggressive like that, it's hard to be on defense all fight and make it look good. It's really hard.
Steve, what were your impressions of the fight?
Well, I felt like he may have did, tape study. But one thing I do just notice sometimes in different combat sports, sometimes you can take that tape study to heart. And I think maybe that's what he was doing, giving him too much respect. We already know Canelo's counter ability is amazing. And I felt like he didn't want to do more than two, because I felt like if he got into the 3s and 4s, he would be counter.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like he did try to catch him because Canelo was aggressive. He tried to catch him with a slip uppercut type of coming in, and I saw him do it a few times, but I felt like he wasn't doing that enough. I felt like also he was probably in his mind thinking about a lot about his endurance. If I go hard as with so-called Canelo, will I have enough in the later rounds? So I think he was fighting a lot mentally himself, but also fighting reality too. Like there's a threat here too. So that's what I think what happened.
So, Chris, Canelo did a good job of getting on the inside and making it look ugly. And you mentioned Charlo being the bigger guy. How come Charlo didn't use that size to his advantage?
Again, it's easier to say that, but we got Canelo in front of you, who's out also pretty much. We're watching a Hall of Famer in action, and just he has so much ring experience. I mean, when we first got news of Canelo, I think he was already at 38 fights. When I first heard of him, I'm like, who's this guy? He got 38 fights. Who did he fight? He's already had so much ring experience. Again, he's fought bigger guys than Charlo. Again, just him in his chest. It's just hard when someone's in your chest and you're trying to line it up. So the only thing you can do is get in defensive mode and just back up and try to move and think. But before you can set up, especially with like you just said, a counter puncher as Canelo is, it's just hard to set it up. Canelo is just, that's the thing about Mexican fighters. They're very aggressive. They come forward. They don't really back up. So knowing that, just on how Mexican fighters fight, and being that you have a Mexican fighter that has that, and he's talented and skillful as a boxer as well, he's just really, it's a tough time. Just a tough time.
So, based on the eye test, does Canelo look as better as ever? Or do you think he kind of lost a slight step because he's like 33 now?
Nah, he looks good. I mean, age ain't nothing but a number. So I'm not worried about that. I think when we see Canelo do lose, it's fighting people that he shouldn't be fighting in the first place. Because even like you look at this fight, you see the size difference, and he has to go up in weight class because there's no one in the lower weight classes that he can fight. That makes it interesting because you just feel like he'll dominate those. So he has to fight guys bigger than him. Because if they actually weigh the same height, besides the build and stuff, but actually were the same type of size, Canelo probably would get Charlo out of there, or get anybody in that same weight class within 5 minutes.
Right. Steve, you think Canelo looked better than ever?
Yeah, I think like I was hearing the commentators, I think the only thing that was holding his back was his hand injury in his right hand, if I believe. I remember. I think he was throwing those lead hooks to the body, so he was throwing his left, but he was also throwing his right too. So I don't think he was hindering or trying to hold back on any hand. I think he's back. If he's not better than ever, better. Because to be better than ever, you just got to see him in front of competition. But I think he showed enough he's ready to fight the top dogs without being hindered.
So, two of the judges scored it 118, 109. They gave Charlo round 5 and round 9. And one judge scored it 119, 108. All three judges had some 10-8 rounds. That last judge only gave the 9th round to Charlo. Off the top of your head, y'all think Charlo won any of those rounds? I don't know if y'all can remember it round by round, but
I mean, give him 2 rounds sounds about right. You know, anything else? I mean, he didn't do enough. It's not like he didn't go out there and lose the fight, but he didn't do enough to try to win the fight. I think he was just in too much respect, like you said. Like there's too much respect out there. I know he regrets it probably today. I know he wants to run it back in his mind, thinking about it. Like, you know what? The next time I get out there with him or anybody, I'm just gonna let it all out there, you know. But because I know he probably didn't want to go out like that. But you know, for him to be in the ring like that, he got to test that level. I think this is the hardest fight he ever had. So, just from that standpoint, you know, taking 2 out of these or 2 or 3 rounds is probably a good thing. Not getting knocked out is probably great.
yeah. How about you, Steve? You think Charlo got any of those rounds?
Like you said, I think he got a few. There's some where he looked good if you're somebody rooting for him, but you know, being on the back pedal, I think he took some game plans. I feel like there's a competitive game plan where you have to keep with him, and then you'll have a gambling game plan to where you'll sacrificing rounds for a big shot, possibly. And I think that's what he did, and I think that's the gamble he played, and that's sacrificing scorecards, which we obviously see he didn't, you know, look like he didn't win a lot of those. Didn't gain respect as far as power, kept him coming, stung him a few times, but he kept on coming. So I think that was a big part of his game plan he didn't achieve.
Yeah, I think I gave him round number 5. I don't know about 9. I have to go back and watch that. I thought he might have actually stolen round 6, but what did I know? None of the judges gave him that round. But it was definitely an entertaining fight, and I was just trying to play devil's advocate. I think Canelo looks as sharp as ever. So, I mean, he's only 33, so he's got a lot of prime left. He's probably got a good 3-4 years in his prime if he stays right. So we'll see. But after the fight, post-fight interview, Canelo had a lot to say. And man, I remember 10 years ago, Canelo couldn't speak English at all, and now he's in there doing English interviews. He said, I don't know, I'm gonna paraphrase it. He said he don't give a fuck. He said he wants to fight anyone. He said, bring it Cinco de Mayo. So where do y'all want to see him go next as far as his next fight?
He's ready. I mean, whoever I want to see him. I mean, I don't know who I would put against him right now at the moment, but he's ready. So they need to send him the contracts and let him figure that out. But I want to see him again. You know what? Cinco de Mayo is when May. You got May.
Yeah, it's a while from now.
So yeah,
you got time to rest. Anybody in particular you want to see him against, Steve?
Not off the top of my head. Like I said, the Charlo revenge story. Pretty good.
Did mention that.
I like that.
Yeah,
The brother.
Because Jamal's the bigger Charlo, isn't he?
I think.
I'm not for sure.
I know Jermel, because I want to say Jermel. Yeah, because Jermel came up. I think Jermel usually fights like at 154. Jamal's at 168. I want to say 160 maybe. He's in that middleweight to super middleweight range. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. But you know, I think Canelo's, he might not be ducking him, but I don't think he's pressing to get this fight, man. Benavidez, man. It's the big bad wolf up there.
Yeah, he is. Again, see what Canelo, for me, I give him a lot of pass up there, even if he does lose those fights, because it's almost like when I look at, you know, Mayweather, I looked at Pacquiao, when they had to come up and wait to get those fights against other fighters. That's not really their weight class, you know what I'm saying? So I hate to say I give him more leadway, especially when he fight Charlo. Like, I'm like, you know, if it goes distance, okay, I'm still gonna give. Like, he gets so much. I want him to fight someone that literally insane, like body fudge. Like, he's not going up in weight. He's not trying to get out his comfort zone. Like that. He's supposed to be here. This person's supposed to be here, and that's what we need at the super welterweight right now. That's what we need, a fighter like that.
So you think Canelo is still a true super welterweight, 154?
Yeah, body wise, yeah, definitely.
Huh. Because he got all the way up to 175 light heavyweight. I think that's entirely too much weight, but
I
you don't
mean,
think he's pretty competitive
averagely,
at
he
168?
probably walks around. I'm being nice, probably 190, 185. He probably walks around there, so he dehydrates down to 150 something. After doing this for 50 something, 48 fights, you're probably tired of going down in weight so much, where you just want to fight at the closer you are. So I think he takes on those heavy fights, but for a real fight that he's supposed to take, I think he should be at the super welterweight.
Not even 160.
Again, and his later years, yes, at 34, 35, of course, it gets harder to lose that weight at a certain point where you just don't want to do that no more. So it is, but it's just not. I don't know. Again, it's just different legacies at this point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what about this fight? I don't think that'll happen. They've been chirping about Bud Crawford going up against Canelo.
That's like what I just said for Bud, right? Be the opposite for Bud is for Canelo. Bud's going up like what he fought at. He started at 132 to fight. What's his name? Spence was big for him, you know, because that was a bigger body. And Crawford's claiming he can go up to 154. So body frame, it doesn't look like it to me, you know, like he would do as much damage. Like talent wise, of course, his skills, what he can do, especially what he did to Spence, was just amazing to me at that height and that just that weight level was like, oh wow, that's impressive. But some of these guys, like, you know, like the Charlo, those guys are big. Imagine, like, you know, I know he talks shit to them, and Crawford be talking shit that they want to fight each other, but really look at the size. Look at the size of it. Like, it'll be really tough for him to knock him out like that. It'll be a good fight. I think Bud would probably teach him more of a boxing lesson, but it will be to knock him out. That'd be really tough.
Yeah, I think Bud Crawford is a little bit too light for Canelo. I think Canelo put that pressure on it, but you never know, man. You never know. But
I would say this, from my time being an amateur fighter, and I fought at 152 to 165. The 152 fights were a lot easier than the 165 fights. And I probably was bigger than some of the 165 fighters that I fought against. It's just that little bit of difference of weight is a big difference. The 152 fights, I felt stronger than everybody. I felt bigger than everybody. At 165, I wasn't as big as everybody. I mean, I probably was still big, but I wasn't the biggest guy around. And I feel like they can take my punches a lot easier than the 152ers could. So it does play that little difference. Even the 4 pounds or the 6 pound weight classes, those kind of play a big difference. You'll be surprised how much that does, but it does.
Well, definitely. The name of the game is just finding your ideal weight where you can optimize, you know, your strength and endurance.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good segue. We were talking about Bud Crawford. Let's talk about the loser of this fight, Jamel Charlo. After the fight, Crawford got on Twitter and said, "You went out sad, Charlo. You didn't even try to win. All you did was try to survive. You should be ashamed of yourself." It's a history of Crawford not liking the Charlo twins because, you know, they're boys with Earl Spence. So what do y'all think about this little back and forth?
I love it for boxing. I love it. I do.
Yeah. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I thought it was funny for just the narrative he's saying, like, yeah, I'm ready after a loss, you know, and then to deny him on social media. That just made the humor even a little bit more funnier and making it look bad for Charlo. So I thought that was good promotional that Crawford did for boxing.
So y'all think that fight happens? You think Crawford will fight one of those Charlo brothers?
I mean, it's possible, but do you see how big they are compared to Bud? Like, yeah. It just looks, it don't even look right. They don't even look right. Like it just don't look how they look to Canelo. He looked way bigger than Canelo. Just looking at it on the street, he just look like a giant. He'll look Canelo's bigger than Crawford. So I'm not saying Bud won't win. He might outbox him. That's the difference about it, right? Because I've been in the ring, I've been in a lot of boxing gyms where, the little skinny guys just out there beating up on all the big guys because he's quicker, he's stronger, just like the Andy thing, right? We look at Andy, he doesn't have the body type, but due to his hand speed, he can outbeat he gives everybody a tough match. But I don't know. I can't go against. I'm done going against Bud though. I mean, I really don't go against him anyway. But I'd love to see that fight that happens.
See, you like to see that fight as well?
Like you said, I know like UFC terms, like Canelo, he looked like a welterweight or one of those maybe 160, and then Charlo, he looking like a damn near a high super middleweight or a light heavy body size difference, and I definitely noticed that, which even gives more to say Crawford to not even entertain a job that he felt like he should have got done based off his size, which size doesn't matter, but he was a weight class looking to bigger than Canelo.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be fun for the fans, but I think like that size difference, like you said, he made Canelo look small, so I don't know. I don't think Bud's done a fight at 154 yet. That fight with Earl Spence was down at 147 at welterweight. I think he needs to get a warm up at 154 before he tries to mess with the top of the division.
I mean, his skill level's there. There's no doubt about it, right? The guy can go lefty, righty. He has skill levels there as a boxer. He has an IQ of he's probably one of the best IQs in the game right now. But that weight difference, it's not going to be easy to drop him at that height, So he's going to put a lot of combinations together. He's going to put a lot of combinations to make that happen.
Well, whatever Crawford does next, we all be checking out for it. But let's preview the next big fight that's coming up at the end of the month. We got Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury versus Francis, Predator Ngannou. And on our last boxing episode, we got into the crossover sport aspect and whether it's good or not for the sport. So we're not going to get into that again. But as far as hype goes, how do y'all feel about the hype around this fight? Is there a lot of hype, not a lot of hype on your radar?
It's at the end of this month?
Yep.
I really haven't heard too much about it. I mean, I hear it there. I might see a little post here and there, but not as much as I would thought to hear from the Fury fight.
Steve?
Well, not saying why, but I was excited until I feel like there's a little monkey wrench through in the game. But
what was that monkey wrench?
Yeah, what's that?
Well, I felt like didn't he there was rumor he took in a fight in between there.
Nah, we'll get into that after we preview this fight. He signed up for a fight, but that's happening afterward.
Okay. So definitely excited, and I think the hype is there because there's a puncher's chance all the time when you're talking about heavyweight. And I feel like if Ngannou, which, hey, I'm going for the underdog because, I love all combat sports, but MMA I predominantly watch. I'm going for Ngannou, and if he knocks him out, that's opening Pandora's box. You're going to see UFC cross fights. Maybe necessarily people might not want to see it, but do I think Ngannou has a slimmer chance fighting a professional boxer that's been doing it? Yes, but I know how strong Ngannou is, and he's no Deontay, but if Deontay could stun him, I think he has a puncher chance.
So let's actually talk about the actual fight. So, Chris, I want to get into some of the keys to the fight as far as Fury goes, and then we'll talk about the keys to victory for Ngannou. So, what do you think Fury has to do to go in there?
Fury just got to be Fury. You know what I'm saying? He just got to keep, he's, again, another person that looks like he can box, but the guy actually has a really good IQ. He can box. He got stamina. You can knock him to the floor. He can get back up. He's big. He's huge. There's a lot of body weight just from him leaning on you, putting that weight and pressure on you for you to push him off, and he just put his shoulders on you. You just laying on you. That's a lot of weight. So he just got to keep doing him, keep the distance, keep the jab going, and fill him out. I think once he fills him out, I think Fury, Fury's known to lose the first couple of rounds anyway. I think he'll lose the first couple of rounds. Fury goes in there winning the first couple of rounds. It's going to be a long night.
You think Fury's going to get in there and try to carry Ngannou kind of like Floyd did with McGregor?
I would. I definitely would. I would always have said to a combat, someone that's in a different combat than me, and I know I can go 12 rounds in this. I'm gonna try to take him to deep. Well, I'm trying to get him the 7th round, 8th round, and then start putting on, the good stuff around 6. I'm trying to get him to 7 tired.
So we got Fury's keys of victory. What do you think Ngannou has to do? It's a long shot, but if he does want to actually pull off this upset, what do you think Ngannou has to do?
I think what Ngannou has to do, and I don't know if it might translate good, but his grappling, tie up, overhand, over underhooks, knowing how to tie up, your opponent. And he's a big dude himself, and I think he might get up into that weight close to Fury too. So it would be crucial for him to know that tie-up game and try to get his endurance out of him. I think he needs to incorporate that if that translates into boxing. And I think I would assume Fury would have more length, but I would say Ngannou isn't a small dude either. So depending how Fury, if he can gain respect, which I think he can, but if he can't hurt him, I think Ngannou's willing to take one to give one. And I think that might be surprising to Fury.
Gotcha.
Chris?
He's how many boxing fights? This is gonna be his first one?
Yeah, it's gonna be his first one.
Oh, and he's going against
The
Fury on
champ.
the first. Shout out to him. Let's do that for once. Shout out to him for that. You just don't walk into that, but you never boxed before, and you're going 12 rounds with Fury. He's gonna have to stay busy. Fury is known to keep his hands down. You can touch him. It's possible to touch him. I don't know how much effect. And again, you just got to stay busy. If you get to stay busy, like you said, get close to him, grab him up, hit him, make it uncomfortable, make it where Fury has to move a lot, put the pressure on him, get in his chest, get on top of him. Unders, overs, just quick little hits. Not only combinations. I think with him, the key would just be showing more, just quick little hits, little here, little over top, over here. Don't keep it distance. I know they're both pretty big guys, but don't keep it distance. I think he needs to get right in his chest and keep little punches going throughout the night. So it looks like he's busier, and I hope the scorecard a lot better than if you have Fury just out there jabbing him, punching him, moving him. If he just stays busy on his chest, I think it'll look good for him.
That's what's up. So I'm gonna go around the room and we're gonna get predictions on this fight because we like to keep track of that around here. Steve, who you got in this fight?
I'm gonna have to go for my underdog. His backstory, is amazing, where he came from. And I think that's what we all like to hear. Now the odds are I'm pretty well, I think he's probably gonna get lit up. But I'll have to go for Ngannou for the
picking the upset.
Surprise, yeah.
Upset. Okay.
Who you got, Chris?
Ooh, Fury and 8.
Fury and 8.
Fury and 8. Yeah.
You get bonus points if you actually get that round right. I'm picking Fury. I think he's going to try to carry him just to make it seem interesting. I got Fury in the 11th round, getting him out of there in the 11th round. TKO. I don't know if he flatlines him, but it's going to be too much volume. Fury's just too good. Like, I don't think we've seen a heavyweight like Fury, a guy that big with that much skill. Because he's not like a Tyson cold clock you, knock you out. He just puts that volume on you, and it's just too much.
Now, for boxing and MMA together, if this is a business line down the line, it'll be smart for Fury to take it to as long as he can, like to the 11th, so we can see more of these fights coming. You know.
I forgot to bring this up before we get out of here. There's some reviews from Ngannou's training. Former middleweight champion Carl Froch. He was looking at the footage. He said Ngannou looked slow and choppy, looked like a mule. So, what do y'all think about these reviews before the fight? Is that a bad thing for Ngannou, or you think it's just people just talking?
People just talking. I think just throw the fans off to make it look like he didn't have a chance. And I'm sure that's not how it looks. I'm sure he's up to speed. He knows who he's fighting against. He ain't going against slugging it out.
What do you think, Steve?
And I think Tyson and Freddie Roach has, dabbling and training him a little bit before. I think Freddie Roach, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely training with Tyson. So hopefully he'll teach him some tips on helpful tips to, like you said, if Fury is the longer person, get in on him. Well, they're both massive people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, when you're training too, you're not gonna show all your cards, all your full hands. So I don't know. I'm hoping he's been training with Mike Tyson, so hopefully he's been in there training right, and he doesn't go out there and completely embarrass himself, because it's a different sport, man. It's an MMA. You can't tie and hold, and I can't remember which boxer was fighting, and they were like trying to almost get a takedown. I think it might have been Diaz. So it's a different sport, and you got muscle memory, so he might go back into
try to grab him up, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely gonna be an entertaining fight. But before we get out of here, Steve teased it earlier. Before Fury's going to even fight, he announced his next fight. He signed for it. It's going to happen sometime next year. We got the fight everybody wanted to see finally. You got Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight title. Excited for this fight?
I am. I just don't like the timing.
You don't
I
like
think
how
you gotta take care of business first, and then you talk about that. That's just me. That's kind of disrespect. That should give what's his name more fuel that he's not even taking me serious. You know what I'm saying? Like he's already planning for next year. He don't even take me serious. So that's how I look at it. So I hope that gives him fuel. I hope he comes into training camp and he's ready to take on this fight and take Fury to a distance like you should have been. Taking me, because this could be how Fury's thinking. Like I ain't worried about this MMA fight. I ain't worried about this, and he get knocked out, get upset. So that's why I don't like about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I think the timing was a little weird. Like that's kind of disrespectful to Ngannou, but I guess it was the method behind the madness. I don't know why they did it, but I guess they got a reason. But what do you think, Steve?
I think he's making a gambling call. He said I can look incredibly stupid if a mistake happens, or I can take care of him, beat him, and say, hey, I already got one on the way, which is disrespectful. But that's that, sort of speak, Conor McGregor mentality. Sort of speaks, brings more hype not only to itself, but to boxing, and maybe MMA eyes, pays attention to boxing more because of that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but as far as the actual fight, even though it was bad timing, is this the perfect time for this fight to happen next year?
Yeah, of course. I think anytime, again, I'm all about the fight. So anytime they're ready to sign that contract, I'm ready to watch. So I'll be watching it.
How close after his fight.
It's still to be determined on that date. It's probably be summer, I'm thinking, if after this fight, because Fury doesn't really rush to go back into another fight. He's getting up there. He's like my age. He's like 35. So yeah, whenever they do make it happen, it's probably be one of the bigger heavyweight fights, probably next to him and Wilder, because Usyk was a beast down there, cruiserweight. He was the undisputed cruiserweight champion, and has a chance to go up to heavyweight and do it. I don't know if that's happened in the history of boxing. It's gonna be definitely a banger. And Fury still he's got that one belt. He got the WBC belt, I want to say, that green belt, I want to say. And he's also still the lineal champ. Nobody's gotten that title off of him. Still the lineal champ after he beat the Klitschko. So yeah, definitely a exciting fight down the line. But no, that'll do it for us here, fellas. I got anything before we get out of here to say to the listeners?
Oh man, we got some good fights, man, coming up, man, especially at the end of this month. So I'm ready for them all. That's all.
Well, we got an MMA show coming up in a couple of weeks, so y'all stay tuned for that. And we'll also be back to recap the Ngannou and Fury towards the end of the month, so be on the look for that. But that'll do it for us here at Haymaker Combat Sports. Until next time, y'all be safe out there. Peace.
Hit the takedown, ground and pound. That was from the top. Heel hooking, no more plot to leave you in the knot.